Have you ever left someone's house feeling more exhausted than when you entered? At first, you might think it's just that you're tired, or that the conversation simply lasted longer than expected. But then, when it happens a second, third, and so on, you begin to realize that not all encounters are positive. On the contrary, some relationships can drain you of your energy without you even realizing it. After 65, time becomes more precious than ever. The previous years may have been spent in a whirlwind of work, family responsibilities, and endless worries, but now, with the children grown up and the obligations lightening, it's time to live for yourself. It's time to enjoy the peace, to spend time on what really matters. But how can you have that peace if every time you meet someone, you bring back a heavy heart? We are often taught to be generous, to care for others, to always be there when someone needs us, and that is a good thing. But there is one thing that no one tells us. Kindness has its limits. You have the right to protect your peace, to choose who deserves to enter your private space. Not everyone is worth your precious time and energy. Think about the people in your life. Is there someone who makes you feel light, happy, full of energy every time you meet them? People who, when you talk to them, make you feel like time flies by, your soul is more relaxed? Those are the people worth keeping. On the other hand, are there people who, after just a few minutes with them, you feel frustrated, bored, or even drained of life energy? Are your conversations with them always negative, complaining, and dramatic stories that they have no intention of changing? If you find this information useful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any videos that help you live healthier, safer, and happier every day. The truth is, some relationships aren't real relationships. They're just one-way conversations. Some people come to you not because they value you, but because they need someone to listen, someone to vent to without ever receiving real attention in return. At some point you realize that you're no longer their friend or loved one, but simply their emotional trash can. But who's to say it's not your responsibility? Who's to say you don't have to carry burdens that don't belong to you? No one. Because we've always been taught to be patient, to be understanding, to always be there when someone needs us, but very rarely do we hear someone say, "You need to be listened to. You need to be supported. You need to be surrounded by people who make you feel whole and at peace." Life after 65 is no longer a time to chase after things that are not necessary. It is no longer a time to settle for unhealthy relationships. No longer a time to waste time on conversations that make you feel worse about yourself. It is a time to prioritize what really matters: health, peace, and relationships that truly matter. Imagine you have a small garden, a garden that you have spent your whole life cultivating. You have spent years planting seeds, watering, tending each branch, each flower. And now, that garden is blooming. But if every day someone came in, trampling the flowers, pulling all the beautiful flowers and leaving only a mess, would you continue to let them in? Or would you learn to close the gate, inviting only those who truly appreciate your garden? Your life is the same. Every year, every month, every day is a part of that garden, and not everyone deserves to set foot in that space. Not everyone deserves your time and attention. If someone only brings trouble, negativity, and takes away your energy, then it is a sign for you to rethink. It can be difficult to set these boundaries, especially with people you know or have known for years. But remember, being selective about your relationships isn't selfish. It's an act of self-love, because if you don't protect your energy, who will? In today's video, we're going to talk about 4 types of people you should consider avoiding after 65. People who may be unwittingly diminishing the quality of your life without even realizing it. This isn't about abandoning the people around you, but about being selective to ensure that your years ahead aren't wasted on things that aren't worth it. Stay with me, because what's coming next may change the way you view the relationships in your life. And who knows, after watching this video, you might feel lighter, freer, and most importantly, more at peace. There's a type of person we've all encountered in our lives. People who always see the negative side of everything, no matter how good the situation is. They're not people who are going through a temporary rough patch. They're not people who simply need a listening ear in times of trouble. They're people who have turned negativity into a way of life. Imagine a beautiful day and you drop by a friend's house. You walk into their house in a good mood with a funny story from a recent trip, some good news from the family, or simply the excitement of a meaningful conversation. But as soon as you step foot in the door, the mood changes. Before you even sit down, they start, "Wow, the weather's been terrible, hasn't it? Did you hear the news this morning? Things are getting worse. My knee hurt all night and the doctor couldn't help. No one really cares about me. I feel so alone." At first, you might think they're just letting off steam, just needing some empathy. But then you realize that every conversation with them is like this. No matter how sunny the day is, no matter how many positive things happen, they still find a reason to complain. The scariest thing is that this negativity is contagious. It's like a dark gray cloud that covers the sky, and no matter how positive you come to them with your energy, you can't help but be affected. You leave their house not feeling as excited as when you arrived, but instead feeling heavy and exhausted, like you've carried all of their problems on your shoulders. Negativity is more than a habit, it's contagious. Psychological research has shown that negative emotions can spread from person to person, like a mental virus. When you spend too much time with a negative person, your brain gradually adapts to their way of thinking. You start to see the world through a pessimistic lens. You start to notice negative things that you didn't notice before. And worst of all, you start to feel like your own life is becoming more gloomy. This is why you need to protect your energy. If you notice that there's someone in your life who is always complaining, never seeing the good, never accepting joy, never appreciating what they have, it's a sign to set clear boundaries. But this doesn't mean you have to cut them off completely. There are a few things you can do to protect yourself without feeling guilty. How to deal with chronically negative people. 1. Limit your time. Not everyone is worth your time, and certainly not everyone is worth your peace. If a friend or family member is draining you every time you see them, limit your visits. You don't have to answer every call, and you don't have to engage in every whining conversation. 2. Take control of the conversation. If you find that the conversation is starting to spiral into negativity, try taking control of it. When they start complaining about the weather, talk about a great book you just read. When they complain about life, share something you've been grateful for lately. If they refuse to engage in a positive conversation, it's a sign that they don't really want to change. They just want an audience for their negativity. 3. Don't try to fix them. A big mistake many people make is thinking that they can help a negative person change. You can try to give advice, you can try to show them the positives in life, but the truth is, chronically negative people don't want solutions. They just want to keep complaining. If you try to help them see the bright side, they'll push back, reject your efforts, and continue to drag you into their negative spiral. So what should you do? Accept that you can't change them, and if they don't want to change, you have the right to walk away from that conversation. 4. Don't let their negativity become your negativity. Remember that you are not responsible for carrying other people's energy. If someone drains you, it doesn't mean you're not patient or kind enough. It's simply a sign that you're protecting yourself. Imagine your mind as a clean and tidy house. Every time you encounter a negative person, they bring dirt and clutter and try to put it in your home. If you let them do this too often, your home will soon become a mess like theirs. But if you know when to close the door and when to invite only positive people in, your home will always be a warm and peaceful place. There is a fine line between kindness and exploitation, a line that, when crossed, can cause people to lose their own peace without even realizing it. We all want to help others. We spend our lives taking care of our families, supporting our friends, doing good things for our communities. But there's something that few people tell us. Not everyone deserves that kindness. There's a type of person in your life that you may not immediately recognize, people who only come to you when they need something. When you think about them, they may not be necessarily bad people. They could be a longtime friend, a distant relative, even a close relative. But if you pay close attention, you'll realize one thing. They don't really care about you, they only care about what you can do for them. What does a person who takes advantage of kindness look like? Think of someone you've visited. You went in with the intention of just chatting, but as soon as you walked in the door, you sensed something was wrong. Before you even sat down to have a cup of tea, they started, "Can you help me with something? I really don't know what I'd do without you. I hate asking for favors, but you're the only one I can trust." At first, you may think they just need a little help, and since you're a nice person, you're willing to help. But then you realize that this isn't the only time. Every time you visit, there's a little thing you need help with. A light bulb that needs changing, an errand that needs running, a document that needs reviewing. And if you say no, they sigh, they whine, they make you feel guilty for not helping them. This is the person who exploits kindness. They don't ask for help directly, but instead, they instill a sense of responsibility in you, making you do what they want. Subtle manipulation, when kindness becomes a burden. These people don't shout demands. They don't force you to do anything, but they use guilt, pity, and sometimes praise to control you. They will tell you that you are the only one they can rely on. They will emphasize that they have no one else, that they are alone, that no one cares about them except you. They will make you feel that if you don't help, you are heartless. But ask yourself, if the situation were reversed, would they be willing to help you? Kindness abusers rarely have a two-way street. When you need help, are they there? When you have a problem of your own, are they listening? Or are they only there when they need something from you? How to identify an unbalanced relationship. A truly healthy relationship has give and take, but with a predator, that balance doesn't exist. If you're always the first to call, they never check in with you. If every time you go to their house, you leave with a to-do list. If they only show up when they need something but disappear when you need someone to listen. That's not friendship, that's exploitation. But the most dangerous thing is that they can make you believe that you have an obligation to help them. They may give reasons like, "You're the best person I know. You understand me better than anyone. No one else can help me but you." These may sound like compliments, but they're just a way to keep you in check. How to protect yourself from a predator. Getting out of an unbalanced relationship isn't always easy. Sometimes the person taking advantage of your kindness is a family member, a longtime friend, someone you really care about. But if you don't set boundaries, you'll continue to be drained of energy, feeling tired and exhausted after each encounter. Here are some ways to protect your peace. 1. Learn to say no. You are not obligated to do anything just because someone expects you to. If you don't want to help, say no gently but firmly. You don't need to give a reason or apologize. A simple sentence like, "Sorry, I can't help this time. I have other things to worry about." That's enough. 2. Don't be manipulated by guilt. People who take advantage of you often make you feel guilty for not helping them. But remember, you are not responsible for their lives. They can take care of themselves or seek help from others. 3. Limit your time together. If someone makes you feel exhausted every time you see them, limit your interactions. You don't have to visit often. You don't have to pick up the phone every time they call. 4. Ask yourself, if I can't help, how will they cope? If the answer is they'll find another way, then they don't really need you. They're just taking the easiest route to get what they want. There's a type of person who can't seem to live without conflict. They don't just get into trouble, they create it. Life is never peaceful for them. There's always a story of betrayal, a fight going on, someone they're angry at. And of course, they're always the victim in the story. You might not recognize them right away. Maybe the first time you meet them, they're talking about a small misunderstanding with a neighbor. The second time, they're having trouble with a relative. Then the third time, they're arguing with someone in their group of friends. And if you spend enough time with them, you'll notice one thing. They always have a new fight, a new conflict, a new tragedy to tell. But here's the thing, they don't just want you to listen. They want you to participate. What does a troublemaker look like? Imagine you're visiting an old friend. You're looking forward to a relaxing afternoon of conversation, reminiscing about good times. But as soon as you sit down, they start, You wouldn't believe what just happened. I just had a huge argument with someone. I don't know if I can take anymore. You think I'm right, right? Their narrative is emotional, dramatic, and seemingly never-ending. They want you to empathize, but more importantly, they want you on their side. If you don't support them, they'll be disappointed. If you try to stay neutral, they'll think you're betraying them. And if you disagree, be prepared, because you might be next on their enemies list. The problem is, they're not really looking for solutions. They don't want to make peace. They don't want to work things out. They want to keep the conflict going because that's how they get attention, how they make themselves feel important. The dangers of being with a troublemaker. You may think that listening to them complain is no big deal, but think about it. How many times have you walked away from a conversation with them feeling exhausted? How many times have you been dragged into conflicts that don't concern you? How many times have you felt stressed about meeting them because you know there will be a new issue to discuss? Psychological research has shown that constant negativity can affect your brain, increasing your stress and anxiety levels. Conflict-filled conversations can decrease your focus, destroy your sense of peace, and even impair your mental health. What's more, a troublemaker can damage your other relationships. If you let them drag you into endless fights, you may lose other friends just because you accidentally took the wrong side. How to recognize a troublemaker? There are some very clear signs to recognize this type of person. They always have someone to hate. Whether it is a friend, family member, or coworker, there is always someone on their enemy list. They like to gossip about others. Not only do they talk about their conflicts, but they also try to drag you into it by saying negative things about others. They never admit their mistakes. In every story, they are always the victim, always the one who is harmed, and never the one who is at fault. They test you. If you do not take their side, they will start to doubt you. If you show sympathy for their enemy, they will see you as part of the problem. How to protect yourself from troublemakers. No one wants to be dragged into a never-ending drama cycle, but how do you stay away from these people without hurting them? 1. Don't get involved. When they start talking about a new conflict, stay neutral. You might say, I hope things get resolved soon. I don't want to get involved in this, but I hope you find the best way forward. Don't give your opinion, don't agree or disagree. If you don't add fuel to the fire, they'll quickly realize you're not the right audience for them. 2. Set clear boundaries. If you find that every time you see them it's a pity session, limit your interactions. You don't have to be on every call. You don't have to visit them all the time. You have the right to protect your peace. 3. Don't spread their stories. Troublemakers often want you to join in by repeating their story to others. Don't take the bait. If they tell you about a conflict, leave it at that. Don't let them make you part of the problem. 4. Don't be afraid of losing a toxic relationship. You may be worried that if you stay away from them, they will get mad at you, they will talk badly about you, and maybe they do. But ask yourself, would someone who is really your friend act like that? A true friend will not force you into pointless conflicts. They will not force you to choose sides, will not turn you into a pawn in their game. If someone only sees you as a friend, as long as you are on their side, then that is not a true friendship. There is a type of person who always lives in the past, but not in a nostalgic way, cherishing good memories or learning lessons from life. They live in the past with regret, resentment, and regret for what has passed. For them, the world used to be better. Everything is worse now, and there is nothing in the present worth looking forward to anymore. They don't talk about their youth with smiles, but with sighs. Every story they tell revolves around loss, jobs they once had, loved ones who have passed away, opportunities they missed. They don't just reminisce, they wallow in regret, as if the past is the only place they want to be. You've probably met someone like this in your life. Maybe it's a family member, an old friend, or a longtime acquaintance. And every time you visit them, the conversation follows the same trajectory. What does someone stuck in the past look like? Imagine walking into an old friend's house. Their home looks exactly as it did the last time you visited, with old photos on the walls, souvenirs from decades past, and a quiet atmosphere. You sit down, try to start a positive conversation. I just traveled to a beautiful place. The air is fresh and the people are so friendly. But they immediately reply, traveling wasn't like it is now. Back then everything was cheaper, the service was better. Now it's just a hassle. You change the subject, try to bring a little joy. This summer I'm planning to try something new, maybe learn to draw or dance. They shake their head, smile sadly. I wish I was young enough to do those things. But now it's too late. No matter how bright the story you bring, they find a way to drag it back to the past, to what's gone, to what isn't the same anymore. And then, gradually, you feel your energy drained. You come to them feeling good, but when you leave, you feel heavier, more depressed, and even start to see the world through their eyes. The dangers of living in the past. There's a big difference between cherishing memories and being stuck in the past. Everyone has good times in their life that they want to remember. But when those memories become a trap, when a person cannot see the good things in the present because they are too busy regretting what has passed, that is when the past becomes a burden. People stuck in the past often have the following characteristics. They always believe that the best time of their life is over. They refuse to adapt to changes in life. They view the present and the future with pessimism and loss. They make you feel that there's nothing to look forward to. But the truth is, life is always changing. No one can live in the past forever, and if they only look back, they will miss out on all the good things that are still ahead. Psychological research has shown that people who tend to dwell negatively on the past are at higher risk of depression and anxiety. When they constantly rehash what they have lost, they are also hurting themselves, undermining their ability to enjoy life in the present. And when you spend too much time with them, you may inadvertently get sucked into that way of thinking. How to deal with someone stuck in the past? 1. To redirect the conversation. If they keep dragging you down with regretful memories, try redirecting the conversation to something more positive. When they say, things were better then, you can gently respond, yes, but there are so many great things now, right? I see so many opportunities to try new things. They may not change immediately, but at least you don't let the conversation spiral into negativity. 2. Don't get sucked into their pessimism. People who dwell on the past can make you start to doubt your current life too. But remember, life is not just about what happened, but also what is happening and what lies ahead. Protect your positive perspective. If a conversation leaves you feeling drained, give yourself permission to withdraw. 3. Limit your time with them. If someone consistently leaves you feeling down and unmotivated, limit the time you spend with them. You don't have to cut off contact, but you can decide how often, and under what circumstances you see them. 4. Encourage them to live in the present. Not everyone is ready to change, but if you really care about them, encourage them to get involved in new activities. Invite them to try a new hobby, join a club, or simply enjoy the little joys of everyday life. They may not change right away, but at least you've opened a door for them to see that life goes on, and there are many things worth experiencing. Time is the most precious gift a person has. Money can be earned again, material things can be replaced, but once time is gone, it can never be returned. As we enter the later stages of life, we begin to see things differently. What once seemed important, work, fame, the never-ending race, no longer means as much. Instead, peace, joy, and truly meaningful moments are what we crave. But here's the truth that no one tells us. Not everyone is worth your time. Think about all the moments in your life you've wasted on meaningless conversations, one-sided relationships, people who take without giving back. Think about the times you've walked away from a meeting, feeling exhausted, frustrated, or even wondering why you even went there in the first place. Because the truth is, not every relationship helps you grow. Not everyone deserves your kindness, and not everyone has the right to drain your energy. These years are yours, and you get to decide how to spend them. A look at the 4 types of people you should avoid. Throughout this video, we've talked about 4 types of people who can drain your energy, peace, and joy from your life. The chronic complainer sees problems instead of solutions, and if you hang around them long enough, their negativity can become yours. The manipulative user only comes to you when they need something, using your compassion to serve their own ends. The drama magnet drags you into pointless conflicts, causing you stress and losing the relationships that really matter. The negative nostalgic doesn't see the value in the present, lives with regrets, and can cause you to start looking at life with cynicism and loss. You may recognize one or more of these types of people in your life. You may have spent too much time with them, tried to help them, listened to them for hours, hoping that one day they would change. But if there is one thing you should remember from this video, it is this. You are not responsible for healing others at the expense of your own peace of mind. Your time is worth more than that. Imagine your time as a savings account. If you had a certain amount of money to spend each day, would you want to waste it on things that don't add value, or would you choose to invest it in things that really matter? The same goes for your time. Every day, you have a limited amount of time to spend. You can choose to spend it with people who love you, who make you laugh, who encourage you to enjoy life, or you can waste it on meaningless conversations, unhealthy relationships, people who only drag you down. So what will you choose? You may worry that if you avoid these people, you'll be lonely. But think of it this way. You don't need a lot of people around you. You just need the right people. People who make you feel comfortable around them. People who listen to you without judgment or criticism. People who lift you up, not drag you down. People who genuinely appreciate your presence. Those are the relationships worth investing in. How to protect your peace of mind. If you find yourself spending too much time with people who drain you, ask yourself, how can I better protect my time and energy? Here are some ways you can do this. 1. Learn to say no. You don't have to please everyone. If someone is constantly negative, taking advantage of you, or dragging you into pointless conflict, you have the right to say no. You have the right to set boundaries, and you don't have to feel guilty about it. 2. Be selective about your relationship. Not everyone is worth your time. Be intentional about choosing people who bring positive value, who genuinely care about you, and who make you feel better after each conversation. 3. Limit your exposure to negative energy. You don't have to cut off these people completely, but you can limit how often you see them, how long you talk to them, and how much you let them influence you. 4. Remember that you deserve a peaceful life. After 65, this is your time. You've worked hard all your life. You've sacrificed for your family. You've given your all. Now it's time to live for yourself. You don't have to let anyone ruin your peace. Last message: cherish yourself. Make time for the things that really matter. Make time to walk every morning, to watch the sunrise, to read a good book, to laugh with your loved ones, to do the things you've always wanted to do. Cherish your time, because no one else can do it for you. And if you take one thing away from this video, remember this. You are not obligated to stay in relationships that hurt you. You are not obligated to continue seeing people who drain you. You have the power to choose happiness, to choose peace, to choose the life you deserve. Let these years be the best years of your life, because you deserve it. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. If you found this content useful, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any meaningful videos in the future. Our channel always brings content that helps you live peacefully, enjoy life, and appreciate what really matters. Let's build a positive community where every moment counts. Hit subscribe now, and don't forget to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts.